record button. All right, so my name is Jennifer Flannery. I am a AmeriCorps Program Manager for the Arizona Supreme Court. As Emily mentioned, agencies apply for the funding for AmeriCorps programs. And so my agency applied for the grants several years ago. You don't think of the Supreme Court being in the volunteer business and in public service business necessarily, like recruiting volunteers, etc. So it was a new venture for us. We are one of 3 different criminal justice focused programs here in the state. My colleagues, Lisa, Naomi, and Raven, who are on the call today, will also be presenting information about their programs. A little bit of information about myself. I just did the math. I think I've been in public service for almost 25 years, which doesn't seem right, but in various different positions with the YMCA. I was a Peace Corps volunteer about 10 years ago, and then have been with the state of Arizona managing grants for close to 7 years now. Again, I am at the Arizona Supreme Court, and let me just bring up my slides, and I guess I'll start my presentation officially. Let's see here. Okay, I'll try and do this a different way here. So as I mentioned, I am with the Arizona Supreme Court. My program is officially called the Arizona APSS AmeriCorps Program. And that stands for Adult Probation Support Services. Its oversight lies with the Arizona Supreme Court, which is a state level agency, but it also partners with all of the county level superior court systems in each of the 15 counties in Arizona. So I am in a state agency, but we partner with the county sites. In particular for this program, the area of emphasis is in adult probation. And currently we have partnerships with 7 counties: Apache, Gila, Maricopa, Navajo, Pima, Pinal, Yavapai, and Yuma. And so in those host counties, those are where our members are usually assigned to and work with the local departments in those areas. So the opportunities in general in our program are a probation assistant position and a youth mentor position. And I'm going to be going over both of these positions in more detail to let you know what the experiences might look like, what the benefits are. I have to preface all of this by saying that in a COVID climate, a lot of our sites are actually closed at the moment. There's different protocols being followed in different phases being followed at each of the county sites. So some are closed to non-essential staff, some are open. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. But in general, we have positions, our probation assistant position is the most viable one and offered in more counties. And if anybody has any questions, you can just pop up in the chat, or since there's not too many of us here, you can chime in while I walk through this. And if one of my colleagues can just monitor the chat for me, because I can't see that at this moment. All right, so digging in. So our AmeriCorps member probation assistant position. So normally what that looks like is after someone's been vetted and interviewed and recruited into a position, they are assigned to a local county adult probation department. Now, in most of our counties in Arizona and more of our bigger metropolitan counties, say Maricopa, Yuma, Pima, the probation departments are divided in between adult and juvenile. So they're two separate entities, two separate departments, two separate chiefs. They act independently. Now, in the smaller communities, the departments might be merged just because the populations are smaller. So in Gila, Apache, Navajo, those counties are going to have combined departments where somebody might have both juvenile and adult caseloads. And if anybody is unfamiliar with probation, I might want to back up and just say, probation is when someone is assigned community supervision when they've broken a law. So in simplest terms, if someone breaks the law, sometimes they're given the choice to go to prison or to just be put on probation, which means that they have to report to probation officers, probation staff, the judges in those instances on a very regular basis and comply with conditions and terms for anywhere from 3 to 5 years. So sometimes folks will say, no, that's too much and go to prison. But sometimes folks want to keep their job, stay at home, have a semblance of a normal life, and will choose probation. Obviously, there's some pros and cons to that. But probation is basically considered community supervision. And the intent of probation is to keep somebody out of prison, to give them access to resources, assess their risks, to give them access to employment opportunities, education, housing, food, mental health resources, treatment resources. I mean, the list goes on and on. Some folks in my sector will say that probation officers and probation staff are considered the social workers of law enforcement. So they do a lot of case management. They do a lot of linkages to services. So folks can get access to resources, better their chances of making, increase their knowledge and behaviors and making correct choices, and ultimately reduce their chances of reoffending again and going back into prison or going back into the system or reoffending, period. So our ultimate desire is to give somebody the most opportunity that they can be provided within the system to get out of the system. So our AmeriCorps members are assigned to adult probation units. And in some cases that could be standard probation, it could be severely mentally ill probation units, veterans unit. Depends on the county that you want to serve in, and it also depends on what units are available and accepting volunteers/members. So the large part of the responsibilities of members is going to be helping and assisting with the case management duties. It's a big part of what probation officers do. So it's a big part of what an experience would be as a member. It could be updating the database with employer information for a probationer. It could be inputting community restitution hours or fees that have been paid towards violation assessments and stuff like that that probationers are given. It could be calling up probationers and saying, hey, look, you have a required treatment session that you need to go to next week. Let's get that scheduled. Or here's a reminder call that that's going to happen. Or here are a list of housing resources so you can get back on your feet and get a permanent address. So members will help in various different ways. Sometimes it might even look like accessing a database to check on GPS whereabouts for probationers. So it just varies from day to day. But really you're getting a look into what probation looks like and learning all about the evidence-based practices that probation officers put into place and utilize. Excuse me just for a second. Excuse me. And utilize during their case management process to assist that probationer through their terms and conditions. So as I mentioned, in more official language, members would be assisting in self-sufficiency skills, soft skills, workforce development, maybe possibly like helping somebody develop a resume or learn how to apply for jobs online. Aids and case management duties, provides court navigation assistance. So court navigation may look different depending on the unit and the county that you're in, but generally speaking, a member might assist an officer with preparing for a proceeding that a probationer is assigned to. They usually have court days once a week, and that court will have anywhere from 10 to 20 probationers appearing that day. So probation officers have to prepare courts like case summaries. So members might assist in gathering the information about what's happened to that probationer, successes, failures, if they've absconded, if they've broken their terms and conditions, or their successes. Maybe they got their GED, maybe they got a job. It's all going to be in that case summary. So members possibly could help with that. They may also learn how to create warrants, not execute them, but create them. Petitions for revoke. If someone has violated probation, they could learn how to create one of those forms. And so anything related to those court proceedings, members might have a part in helping and prepare for that. And then the members would be able to observe the court proceedings. You wouldn't be a commissioned officer, so there's no reason to be participating or testifying. You would just merely be an observation. And then, as I mentioned also, members would be part of the referral services portion of probation, helping probationers get access to resources for folks who are on probation, or and we have a population that's also referred to as re-entry population, and those are folks who have been incarcerated, so they've been in prison and they've been released, but they still have a probation term to complete. So this might be somebody who's been in prison for a number of years who may not have access to healthcare, housing, transportation. So those type of re-entry services would be offered from that standpoint too. And a lot of organizations, a lot of agencies across the board work in re-entry. And Raven can speak to a little bit more on that side, since she's from that other side of the equation there. And then I mentioned educational resources and GE prep courses. I'm going to pause right there to see if anybody has any questions. You can unmute yourself since it's a small group. Okay. No questions? All right. So our second position is a youth mentor position, and these are actually going to be located at our smaller county host sites where there is an adult and juvenile combined department. So specifically, those would be Navajo, Apache, and Gila County. And these actually take place within community youth centers that have actually been prior youth detention centers. There's been a big movement in Arizona to change what was a youth detention center that housed juveniles before they were determined to, what path they were going to go on. They house these juveniles temporarily, and so what happened is that those centers were going unused because the number and the rate of juveniles offending was decreasing at a fast rate. So what the counties did, instead of just dismantling the department or dismantling those services because they were still needed every once in a while, they changed the centers into community centers, not only to help the youth in the area that are at risk, but also to help the general population, the youth in the community, with access to resources. So programming, homework assistance, job training, job skills, soft skills, etc. So our youth mentor positions work alongside the county and the other staff that are working at these centers to help the youth. So if you think of like a Boys and Girls Club, or if you think of a YMCA, this is pretty much the concept. Kids go there after school and on the weekends, and there's just structured schedule there. Kids get homework help, assistance with, various different curriculums, but then also learn maybe how to make music or play an instrument or do podcasts. Like each of the centers has like elaborate like sound rooms where they can record music and podcasts and whatnot, which is pretty awesome. Some of our past members have taught culinary art classes, regular art classes, and done other kinds of programming with the students there and with the youth there. This position would also help with self-sufficiency skills, soft skills like workforce development. So teaching the kids how to create a resume, how to apply for jobs, how to possibly go out into the community and maybe do a volunteer project, a community service project, was just pretty cool. Again, as I mentioned, homework assistance is part of the position, maybe possibly helping kids get access to college prep courses or technical trainings if they're looking for a different, maybe a vocational route instead of a collegiate route. And then members also help with basically public relations and outreach to facilitate connections with other organizations in the community to help the center, thrive and be more successful. Let's see. All right. So the benefits, probably the most important part you guys want to know today. So besides the professional development and the practical work experience that folks who are in our program can put on their resume, you also serve your local community through national service. So you're helping the county that you're assigned to, the unit you're assigned to, and obviously indirectly you're helping the probationers, and directly you're helping the youth if you're at the centers. You're assisting those who need services and access to resources, and then again, assisting local organizations with the delivery of services to their clients. So the other benefits include basically so every agency who has an AmeriCorps program designs the service term in a different way. So the length of our service term and our stipends might be very different from what Lisa's program and Raven's program have to offer. So they're going to look a little bit different, but the benefits are very similar. So for ours, we've created our program service term around a 4-month experience. So it's a very short-term commitment. It's basically along the line of like a semester school academic calendar. So we have a fall term, a winter term, and a summer term. So our program year begins in September of this year. And so if someone wanted to serve in September, you'd have a choice of either serving 20 hours or 30 hours a week for that 4-month term. And over that 4-month term, you would earn a stipend. And that can range anywhere from right now from $1,800 to $3,000, depending on the commitment time that you sign up for. But that stipend is given to you in equal amounts over the 4-month term that you're serving with us. So it's a couple $100 every couple weeks, and it is your discretion to use that any way you want. You can use it on gas, pizza, laundry, diapers, shoes, or you can save it. So it's up to you how you want to use it. The only caveat is that it is taxed, and you will have to put it on your, you will have to claim it in your taxes if you do taxes, the following year. If you complete a service term successfully and in good standing, you can get the education award. Emily mentioned that in the prior session. Sorry, I'm just making sure I'm staying on time. You are eligible for the Ed Award, and depending on what the hours that you commit to will determine what the dollar amount of that looks like. But again, that Ed Award can be used for tuition bills, outstanding school loans, or any kind of educational costs that the AmeriCorps National Office would approve. So this slide will tell you where our positions are located in which counties. Again, our probation assistant is the more accessible position, I should say. It's offered in the most counties. Generally speaking, it's offered in Apache, Maricopa, Pima, Pinal, Yavapai, and Yuma. And then our mentor position is in Apache, Gila, and Navajo. So next steps. So if you are interested in applying for our program, you would first want to go on to the myamericorps.gov website, this link here, and create a profile, and which becomes your online resume. Your online resume in the AmeriCorps portal basically becomes your first line of application to any position that you apply for. So you want to make sure that it is really filled out in detail, that you have all of your past work experience, volunteer experience, your motivational statement is complete and succinct and checked for grammar. You have solid references that will respond to the request to input references. All of that information will be housed there until you choose to apply. As I mentioned, our program in various different counties are open and are closed at this time. So we only have 2 counties that are participating, and we have basically cut or actually closed our application process for the summer of this year because we only have a very limited amount of positions. However, we anticipate more, if not all of our counties, knocking on wood, are going to reopen to some extent for fall, which would be September 1. So if you are interested in applying for September and beyond, you actually can't apply now. You have to wait till we post new positions for that new program year. And hopefully we will be doing that in midsummer. And if you want to do that, I will notify you guys via email when our applications are live and you can apply for them. And you can either email me, or probably what we'll do is we'll get an attendance list from today and just email everybody just in general to let you know that they're open. But if you wanted to reach out to me directly, here is my contact information. It's jflannery@courtsaz.gov. And I anticipate being able to, I think what we're going to be able to do is, along with the recordings from today, we will be also posting our slides, so everyone will have access to this information. And in my slides, there are clickable links to the application site and to my email and our website here. So I'm going to stop sharing there and see if anybody has any questions. So this will be our short Q&A if anybody has any specifically about my program. Audrey, I see you there. Hi.
Hey, I just got the email from you, and so I was like, I might as well show up.
That's great. Audrey is in the process of application for a position that's open down in Yuma. So she's joined us today to learn about the other criminal justice programs. So thank you for attending, Audrey. So Jack, Betsy, Catherine, did you have any questions?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. I know we're a little ahead of schedule. Raven, did you want to go ahead and get going? Okay, give me a second to get the PowerPoint up. You just give me the heads up when you want me to, click through. Can you all see that?
Yes, we can.
All right.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. My name is Rena Oglesby. I am with the Arizona Department of Corrections, Rehabilitation and Reentry AmeriCorps Program. And so kind of to put this in perspective, Jennifer just kind of went over her program and how it relates to probation and individuals that are in the jail system. On the other side. So we are the state prison, the department that oversees the state prison system. So this is a little bit different in that our members are actually serving either in our reentry centers or our prisons. And so I'm going to kind of go over what we do and what it looks like. Okay, so can you go back one, please? Okay, so our mission with the Arizona Department of Corrections is a mission that we're all on right now, which is to aid in reducing recidivism by 25% in 10 years by providing inmates with the knowledge and resources needed to be successful upon. So what that means is 2 years ago, the Arizona Department of Corrections set out on a mission to reduce recidivism. And what that means is that we are working very, very hard to reduce the number of people who are exited from prisons and keeping them from coming back in. And so we're working hard to do this, and that means everybody is working on this mission. So that is why we took on such a great initiative as AmeriCorps to have AmeriCorps members coming into our prison systems to help educate inmates on what the world looks like when you are going back out into the community. And we're all about preparing them for being released back into the community and getting them connected to resources and doing whatever is necessary to help them to be successful in their reentry process. Next.
Sorry, I'm not sure why it's not advancing. There we go. So what do AmeriCorps members do with the Department of Corrections? So there are very few programs that have ever attended AmeriCorps in prisons. And so it's hard to be successful at having AmeriCorps members come in, and what they do is they come in and they serve in teams. And it's usually a team of either a team of AmeriCorps members, so it may be 2, 3, 4 AmeriCorps members serving together as a team, or it may be that the member is coming in and they're serving with one of our staff members. But they're coming in and they teach various life skills to low to medium custody adult inmates or offenders that are within 6 maximum, work on high level yards. Their goal is to work strictly with low to medium custody. And these are individuals that they may just be at the beginning of their process of talking about reentering the community, or they may be very close to reentering the community. And so the members come in and they teach classes, and they do this in one of 2 ways. We have some members who come in and they only do psychoeducation classes. And so this is done in what we call reentry centers. Reentry centers are locations where a person may have been released from prison, but due to a violation while they are on parole, 90% of the time it has to do with drug and alcohol, not passing their UAs, and having to come back into the system. And so instead of sending them directly back to prison, they may go and spend some time at a reentry center. And while they're going through counseling, therapy, and then they're also participating in psychoeducation classes. We have 2 reentry centers where members teach these classes. And we're going to be expanding more into our prisons with psychoeducation classes so that members can teach classes on various low to medium custody yards. So some of the curriculum that they teach, they do a release and reintegration curriculum where we are teaching the inmates or offenders about criminal and addictive thinking,
rebuilding a foundation for their future, setting housing and employment goals, work plans after release. A lot of it is about goal setting, identifying areas where to work on, and then really setting some SMART goals that will help them to get to the bigger goal that they're working on. So for instance, a lot of times we have folks say, well, I'm going to get out and I'm going to get a place. Okay, you're going to get out and you're going to get a place, but have we thought through how that works? If you've been in prison for 15 years or 20 years, the housing market is a lot different now than what it may have been 20 years ago. So the members literally walk them through step by step what it looks like to get a place. Or it may be they say, well, I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna get a job. Okay, if you've been in prison for 20 years, you can't, the way of getting a job is a lot different now. You don't just walk into a business and say, I wanna apply. Instead, everything is done online. So it may be as simple as walking them through the process of how do I look for a job online? What is Indeed? How do I do an application? How do I write a resume? And so it's a lot of kind of walking them through these activities in addition to teaching the class. We also do a money management class where they teach the inmates or the offenders on how to manage their money, which improves their quality of life. They learn about budgets, how to pay off debt. They learn about their pay stubs. If you do get a job, what does that pay stub mean? How do you get paid? You know, nowadays, most companies aren't sending check. You have to have direct deposit. And so a lot of it is just walking through, you know, credit. What is credit? How is your credit going to impact you getting a house? All of these things play a part. They also do drug and alcohol education classes. They work on socialization activities. It is a cultural shift or a difference in how you socialize in prison versus how you socialize in the community. And so doing scenarios and role playing with them and doing activities to help them understand that there are different ways to do things. And then they may also do parenting skills, because parenting, a lot of individuals are wanting to get their children back, but whether or not they have an education, whether or not they have a job, whether or not they have housing, all plays into whether or not they're able to get their children, and then being able to rebuild those bonds and work through some of the issues that come from being incarcerated and then going back into being a parent. So those are psychoeducation classes. And like I said, from those classes, they can then work with a person one-on-one or do more focused activities with an individual to help them work on their individual goal setting and planning process. From there, we have members who serve in our education department. So the Department of Corrections is a certified high school. There are two things that members can do. One is what we call functional literacy. So by law, we cannot release anybody early that does not have at least an 8th grade education level unless they've been identified as having a learning disability. So that means that within the prisons, there are many individuals who have to go to class and they're working to get to the 8th grade education. And in that setting, they are working on core subjects, math, studies, science, reading. They may be working on literacy. And it's all about helping to get them to functional literacy, which is, again, the 8th grade education level. Again, because we're a certified high school, they also may work on the GED or high school diploma process. So again, they're tutoring, they may be doing teaching a particular topic to a group of inmates who are all working on that topic. So it's a mixture of tutoring and doing particular subjects within the education department. And then from there, they may even be running groups or conversations about higher education. We do actually have many inmates who are pursuing their college degree. And so it may be that they're working on their associate's degree and they want to know, what is that college experience like? What could I expect if I wanted to go on for a bachelor's or a master's degree? What are my options? So the members may work with them on that and creating a plan for higher education. What you will see here is that with the education, much like Jennifer just explained with her programs, COVID is a real thing for us. And so we are very, very cautious about bringing members into the prisons right now. So the education prison only program has been put on hold, but we are looking to reopen that hopefully soon. Doing the same thing with the psychoeducation classes for prisons. So we will know more here in the next couple of months, but for this purpose, I just wanted to provide all of the information on what we offer. I would say if you're interested in applying, you want to check at the time that you apply on what's being offered. If you're thinking, well, I don't really want to do that psychoeducation thing, but I'm really good at math and science, and I think I would do good in education, you may want to check to see if that's going to be available. But we are hoping and planning that it will be come September. Next. Some other things that our members do is, in addition to teaching classes, they are also going to be helping with connecting inmates and offenders to resources in the community based on the goals that they've set. And so again, if it's we notice that somebody needs to continue with mental health services upon release, well, then it may be connecting that person with community mental health to ensure that they have appointments when they're released. Or if the person is trying to find resources for being a better parent, it may be working with them to identify some community resources that will help support them in that upon their release. Even things down to how to get a driver's license. It may be that they need a social security card and a birth certificate. Well, then we can work on that and helping them identify ways to obtain those documents. So teaching the classes, but then a hands-on approach on showing them how to do it. Our members also do civic engagement. So outside of the prisons, our members participate in 3 volunteer opportunities within the community. And so our members really like doing that. We've done a lot of different opportunities, such as going to the shelter, doing community gardens. We've done a whole host of things. So that's something in addition to their regular service that they get out and do. And then we have special projects that may come up depending on what's going on during that service term. So for instance, we just had a group of members that just wrapped up their service term. We had a special project where they worked on doing lunch and learns, where they did research and they were able to come back and present to our staff on the different topics that they learned about as it relates to corrections and reentry. So there are different things that come up during service terms, and every term is different. So what kind of applicants are we seeking? I get this question a lot, so I want to address it. What we find is individuals who have an interest in education, social work, case management, law enforcement, criminal justice, drug and alcohol counseling, psychology, sociology, and even some business, usually find this to be a very good opportunity. They find that they learn a lot. And one thing that I love about AmeriCorps is you are able to be very hands-on. So this is usually a really good opportunity for folks with this kind of background. For us, for the Department of Corrections, AmeriCorps also serves as an internship opportunity. So a lot of our students at different universities, they may have to do an internship and it's unpaid. But with AmeriCorps, with the Department of Corrections, this can be used as the internship opportunity. And as Jennifer spoke about, you get a living allowance, so it's not necessarily unpaid. And you get an experience that you probably would not get just in a normal environment. So yeah, these are kind of the backgrounds. Now, is that to say that a person should not apply if they don't have this background? No, we encourage everybody to apply that has an interest, but for school purposes or just educational background, this is usually a good fit. So what makes someone a good match for these positions? As I stated, this is prison. So we work in a very different type of environment. I know a lot of people, they watch a lot of TV. So if you're watching stuff like Orange is the New Black or Shawshank Redemption, or, you know, people are getting shanked and that kind of stuff, that is not necessarily our environment, though it's portrayed on TV that way. But you do have to have a certain skill set and a certain level of abilities to serve in this environment, because it is a lot different than other environments. So you have to have the ability to adjust to changes quickly. Any member that's ever started with us, they will all tell you this. It may be that 1 minute you're teaching a class, the next minute the yard is on lockdown, the next minute you have to adjust and get back into teaching a class, the next minute it may be a disturbance. So, or it may be that classes get canceled for the week, but the material still has to be presented within the time frame that you have. So you really have to be able to adjust to changes quickly. If you know personally you are challenged by change, this may be a challenging opportunity. And it could be a good challenge, or it could be a not so good challenge. So being able to adjust very quickly is critical. The ability to work with inmates and offenders and follow policies and procedures. Again, we are a prison, so it is really, really important to be able to follow policies and procedures, because we don't just have AmeriCorps rules, we also have a very high level policy and procedure process within corrections, and everything has to be done by the book. This is not a space where we have a lot of room for error when it comes to unprofessionalism or not following rules. The ability to teach others. If you know that you have a knack for being able to talk to people and teach them something, we're not saying you have to be a teacher, but you have to have the ability to be able to stand up and present information and understand how to answer questions and follow through on what's being presented. Individuals who enjoy learning new things and teaching others. We learn something every single day. So it's constantly learning and then being able to take that information that you learned and present it back to others. The desire to serve the community. Individuals that understand that people have been, that may have been in prison, they're human. And we have to look at people as humans first. We are not here to punish people or to put off our personal thoughts onto people about their situations. But we have to come into it with the mindset that people have the ability to change. And then individuals who want to be a part of providing offenders with the information and tools that they will need to reintegrate back into the community is critical. And then the last piece is working with people or having the knack for working with people that are facing difficult challenges. What we know for certain is a lot of the folks that we work with, they are in very challenging situations, and that looks different for everybody. It may be that one day a person is in a really good mood, and the next minute they're not in a really good mood. And so being able to just kind of navigate that and learn how to navigate that is important. Next. So where are our locations? We do place members in all of our prisons. So here's a list of our state-ran prisons. And then we have 2 reentry centers. One of our reentry centers is in North Phoenix, which is the Maricopa Reentry Center. And then the other is in Tucson, which is the Pima Reentry Center. In the reentry centers, as I stated, we only do psychoeducation classes there and connecting to resources. And those are the facilities where individuals are there because they've been released on parole, but they have violated. So they have to come and spend time there. It may be a couple days, it may be 21 days, it may be 90 days. But during that time, they're going through quite a bit of programming and attending psychoeducation classes. In the prisons, again, that's education. And then we're going to also be expanding more psychoeducation within the prisons. So there's an opportunity to do one or the other in the prisons. As I stated before, we are on hold right now because of COVID with the prisons, but we do have plans for them to reopen in September. One thing to note about the prison locations, there's a little note down there. This is prison, so our locations are in some areas are in really rural areas. So that is something to take into consideration if you're going to apply. Look at the location and looking at your transportation. We do not have the ability to offer any kind of transportation assistance. So it is critical that members are able to get to the location and get from the location every day of service. So that's something that's really important. It may be a little bit different because we may not be on a bus route. Next. Okay, so the commitment for us, we do have a mandatory 5-day pre-service orientation. And so what that means is the first week of service is the longest week because that is the time when all members come together, no matter where they are across the state. They come together for pre-service orientation. And during that time, they are learning about the Department of Corrections. They're learning about AmeriCorps. They're learning about the curriculum. They're doing a lot of training that they have to do to be in a prison or a reentry center. They're going through self-defense. They're going through how to use their spray. So that is a very jam-packed week. And it is critical that anybody who is going to move forward in this role has to attend that training. But after that, our members serve 3 weekdays per week with an average of 21 hours per week. So they're usually on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday schedule. They come in at 9 and they're usually gone about 3:30. That can change as far as the days based on what individuals' needs are. But it also, again, our members have to serve in teams. So we try to work that out. But for the most part, we usually have like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday schedule, or we may do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But what schedule is, once a person has determined that they're locked in at those days for the whole service term. In addition to that, as I mentioned, we do 3 civic engagements. Those may take place on the weekend or it may take place during the time that they're serving. But I always like to put that out there because when they do happen, that's something that members have to participate in. Our living allowance, we have quarter-time members, meaning that our members have 450 hours. That is 450 hours that happen 3 days a week, 3 weekdays per week, average 21 hours a week over the course of the month. So it's a little bit longer. And in return, the living allowance is $3,440. It is broken up equally and paid out bi-weekly via direct deposit. In addition to that, we have the Education Award, which is we've been talking about that members receive at the end of their term if they complete their term successfully. We've been talking about this, but some of the benefits are student loan deferment, skills and training, potential career opportunities. I would say that's a good one. Pretty excited. We just had one of our members who was able to get a really awesome position as a result of her service. So she always wanted to work. She wanted to continue working in corrections in our second chance centers, and she just got a really great position because of her service with us. So there are career opportunities that may come up, serving your country, giving back, and then the potential to earn an internship hours for college programs if that's something that is needed. So you've heard a bit about basic eligibility. For us, we do not do under 18, so it's 18 years of age or older. You do have to have a high school diploma or GED and some college. Now that does not mean you have to have a degree, but we do look to see that you've attended college and you have some experience with college. You must be a U.S. citizen, U.S. national or legal permanent resident, alien in the United States, and then the ability to commit to the term of service. If for some reason you're thinking, well, I could do some of this, but I can't do the rest of it, this may not be the time to do this service term. But if you're looking at it and you're saying, I think I can do everything that she's talking about, then I highly encourage you to apply because we do look for that full commitment. I know sometimes I have members who say, well, I thought I could do this, but I want to take another class and I'm not going to be able to come in every day. That's going to be a challenge. The desire to serve in a prison environment is critical because we are prison. So that's really important. I know sometimes we have people that say, well, I didn't realize you actually meant going to prison. Yes, we are talking about actually going to prison. So right now it's either in a prison environment or in a reentry center environment. More recently, our members have been teaching virtually from our reentry centers back into the prison, but they still have to come in. So that is something to keep in mind. If you think that going to a prison environment is going to be a challenge, just keep in mind that's where our members serve. And then in addition to what the basic AmeriCorps requirements would be, you do have to have the ability to pass multiple background checks and drug and alcohol testing. Because we are a prison, we have additional background checks that our members have to go through. And so that's really important. In addition, the Department of Corrections is a drug-free workplace, and we are what's considered to be safety sensitive. And so I tell people this because this can be a challenge. We are safety sensitive, which means that things such as marijuana that has been recently made recreational. A lot of people get upset because they say, well, it's medical or it's recreational. We do testing. And so because it's prison, we cannot take anybody who has any form of substance in their system, whether it's at the time of taking their test or doing random drug testing. We do randoms all the time. We have to be on high alert at all times. So that is a bit different than some other programs. So if this is an issue that could be a challenge later on, just please keep that in mind. We are safety sensitive and we don't follow the rules of recreation or medical. Next.
Raven, you just have a couple minutes left.
Okay. All right, so how to apply. We have a two-step process. Jennifer kind of gave you the information on how to apply on the site. So create your profile, and then you find positions that you want to apply to. I back what she says as far as making sure that you have your most recent up-to-date information, making sure that your profile looks really good, because as you apply programs, we look. But for us, you would have to apply on, and you also have to apply on the State of Arizona Job Board. If you apply at one and you don't apply at the other, I cannot move forward with your application. So for the state website, you would go to azstatejobs.gov. Our position should be available mid-May. You would apply there by, at the bottom here, you see it's kind of small, but there's a search box. If you just put AmeriCorps in the search box, when the position is available, it'll come up. You want to make sure that you apply there and then also apply through the AmeriCorps portal. Without both of them, we won't move forward with your application. And that's how to apply on the My AmeriCorps website. And for us, once you go to the My AmeriCorps website in the state, if you just put in Arizona, and then in the program name, put in Arizona Department of Corrections, any positions that we have posted will then. The only thing that I want to point out from this slide is if you have already applied through for AmeriCorps in the past, please make sure that you go in and update your profile. Many times we get people who say, well, I applied to AmeriCorps 2 years ago, I'm going to use the same profile. If it's outdated, we don't have the most recent information, so you want to make sure that you do update that before you start submitting the programs. So for us, our application deadlines, for members who are going to serve from September 2021 through February 2022, you can begin applying around May 17th, and the application will close out July 16th. For members who want to serve March 2022 through August 2022, the application should be available, or the portals and the positions will be ready around December 1st, and the last day to apply will be January 14th. So this is just a little bit of a pic collage, so you can kind of see that folks are happy at the Department of Corrections. These are some of our past members, and they're just kind of showing off what they do. So it's not all scary and crazy. If you have any questions, I am ready.
Raven, I'm sorry that the slides jumped ahead several times there. I wasn't even touching the computer and it would advance, so I apologize for that.
It's good. We're good. If you have any questions, I have a couple minutes here. And if not, we'll talk later.
If there aren't any questions, or I'll stop talking if someone wants to jump in, but just a couple of things I wanted to add. You know, our experience is also available if you have an internship requirement for academic reasons. We look at that individually. And then, and I believe that Lisa's program also has that availability, and she can speak to that in a second when she gets off the phone. And then our positions, you know, folks who are interested in going into law enforcement, not probation specifically, they look to our programs, all three of our programs, to get work experience and get the experience on their resume for applying to law school, maybe going into government work. So it's not necessarily law enforcement or, you know, criminal justice, but these look really good on a resume. You know, if I were a hiring manager for regular positions, I would look to these positions as something that would be solid and really a good background piece. And our members have gone on to secure positions, you know, of their own pursuit for probation officers, case managers, clerks, and other positions in the county. So it is really a good way to get your foot in the door.
Yes, most definitely. I just had a member who was just accepted into law school because of her service term. So
yeah, that's awesome.
I'm sorry, I have kind of a general question. Are there any positions that are available in criminal justice that are full-time?
Not with my program, not with the adult probation position. The closest we can offer is a 30-hour-a-week position for 4 months. In theory, someone could do that consecutively, you know, multiple terms in a row. But there's a certain cap that someone can do that. And just to make sure that we clarify, just because you have full-time hours doesn't mean that you would get full-time pay or salary. All of our AmeriCorps positions are still stipend at a very modest amount. It's never going to be a livable wage or a hourly wage. So just because of the full-time hours doesn't equal that. So just wanted to make sure that that was clear. I'm sorry, go ahead, Raven.
I would say for our program, we're the same way, but we don't have full-time roles. Instead, we have 450 hour, but it is possible for a person to serve one term and then apply and serve a second term. So we have quite a few members that do that. So it would stretch over the course of a year, but it would still be the 3 days a week, 450 hours per service term, and the ability to get multiple ed awards if you haven't had any AmeriCorps experience before. So we don't have full-time hours, but you can do multiple service terms.
All right, Lisa, I see your text. So why don't we go ahead and get started? I think we still have plenty of time to get through everything. Are you good to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're good to go.
All right, let me bring up your slide. And there we go. Let me know if you can't see that.
All right, good morning. My name's Lisa, and I have Naomi with me, who is our AmeriCorps Program Coordinator. So I'm going to provide an overview of our program, and then I'm going to turn it over to Naomi, because Naomi is not only our program coordinator, but she is also was an AmeriCorps member for 2 or 3 terms with me. 3? 2? 3? And so she'll be able to really give you a great perspective that I can't give, since I'm on the other side of the program. So ours is called Providing Access to Court Services, and we are located at 4 locations in Maricopa County. We are at downtown. We have a location in Surprise, North Phoenix, and Southeast Mesa. We work for the judicial branch in the Law Library Resource Center, and we help represented litigants through our court processes, whether it's filing for divorce, legal decision making, restoring their rights. A big one that's probably going to be coming up over the summer is the new expungement cases, which we've never, at least in adult world, had expungements in criminal matters here in Arizona. So that's going to be a whole new process that we will probably be assisting a lot of customers with come July. Just for full disclosure, right now our program is suspended as well due to COVID. We are hoping to possibly have a summer session. If not, again, we're hoping, fingers crossed, that we will be back in September. Of course, contingent upon us receiving the grant again. A couple of things. Naomi is going to put in the chat box our mailbox so that you all can email us and let us know if you want to attend a more formal information session where we will go in greater detail about our program. A couple of things, just like Raven and Jennifer said, how they talked about their programs and living allowances and educational award. A lot of that is the same, so I don't want to repeat a lot of that information. The difference is with our program, we offer 8 months at 675 hours. So it's about 18 hours a week minimum. And we provide about a $400 amount living allowance. And then the educational award is set by CNCS. We also have a summer program for 300 hours, a minimum about, again, 15 to 18 hours a week. Usually it'll run from May to August. And that one is about $200 a month living allowance. A few things with our program. Also, you can complete an internship alongside of our program, but our program for us comes first. It is a commitment, and we have expectations that anybody coming in is here to help our community, help our customers. We deal with a lot of upset, angry, frustrated individuals that are going through some really tough times. We assist customers with protective orders, filing order protections, helping them transcribe their order protections or injunctions. So a lot of our customer contacts are, they're not fun. They are, not in a great place in their life. And so we need members that are sympathetic, empathetic, patient, and that really, truly, A, want to learn, and B, want to help, genuinely want to help people. We do offer a little bit of training in the beginning, and then we're doing some ongoing training throughout the session. But a lot of it is on the job training. So you have to, be a self-starter to really get everything that you want out of this program. It is constant customer contact. So it's not, you're not filing things, you're not doing anything like that. You are working with customers day in and day out during your service hours. Let's see what else. So we have our 4 locations. You can, if you're interested in learning more about and want to attend an information session, you'll email the email that Naomi put down, our program email down in the chat box, and we'll schedule you for the next information session. We have an ongoing recruitment. So we are still recruiting for the summer, hoping that we will be able to bring some members in. If not, during those emails or during the information session, you can let us know if you're interested in being placed on the list for our fall session. And we do have an orientation that is required before you can start, where we go over AmeriCorps again, because that part is extremely important. And then give you a overview of the different type of case types, what's the difference between judges and commissioners, and just a high level overview of the courts. And then we'll get into more detailed training as the program goes on. Let's see what else. Just a few things, that I look for as a program manager, and that is, being on time. I've removed people from programs who were late constantly. So we want people that are going to be on time, that take this seriously. We always say, treat it like a job. Granted, we understand that it's not a huge paycheck, but this looks fabulous on a resume. Many of our members have gone on to law school, as well as many of them work here. I will not give a recommendation to anybody that does not complete or is not, doesn't complete the program successfully, or if throughout the session we've had minor issues that we constantly have to talk about. You know, that's what goes in your evaluation. That's the information that I'll be presenting to future employers if you put it down. So I always say, you write your letter of recommendation, you write your evaluation. So we just ask that who's ever interested in this program understands, well, just like all the other programs, this is a commitment, that you take it seriously, that, you know, if you don't have thick skin and want to develop it, this is a great program. If you don't have thick skin and it's very hard for you to let things roll off your back, you know, it may be tough for you, because like I said, we deal with a lot of distraught customers. But you know, it is a very great program, hands-on learning. And like I said, a lot of our members go on to work for the courts, especially if they're going through master programs. They'll you know, either get hired in family or criminal, some in probate. They really look for our members because they know they were trained well and that they have a lot of knowledge by the time they're done with the program. So, you know, that's an option. Just know that, you know, if you're going to go through a master program, there's some great opportunities within the judicial branch to work while you're completing those degrees. So at this point, I will turn it over to Naomi so that she can provide you a really good overview of what being a member is like here from when she served with us. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, so as Lisa said, I did do 3 terms myself, as well as my sister. Actually, she did 4. She completed all of her sessions here with the PACS program. But I just think from being a member to now actually learning, you know, all the background information of how to run the AmeriCorps program. As a member with our program, I think it's just as important to have a willingness to learn the material, because as Lisa said, it is a very on-the-job training. There's no real way to know how each case is going to go, because, you know, when filing a divorce case, every divorce is going to be different. Every criminal case is going to be different. We don't know how the judge is going to handle it. So just having that willingness to learn and just absorb all the new material, I think is just going to be important if you do want to participate in our program. I always say you're only going to get out what you're going to put in. So if you actually put forth the effort and you want to learn all the things that come from the program, you're going to be successful in it. I think for me, one thing that I value from our program is that I literally learn the court inside and out. I learned, you know, just from being at, whether it's the information desk or at our CSA triage area, breaking down processes and forms, you're definitely going to learn something. And what you can learn is definitely endless. To this day, I'm still learning different things about the court. But I can definitely tell you what our court has and what we can do within it. And those options are definitely endless. And I think the last thing just is that just to be open, you know, willing to learn what we have here. It is a very good opportunity. I can say that I love the program so much that I wanted to do a position like what I have now. I actually had no business doing our program. I was a business major myself in college, and I kind of just did the program because I was interested. So definitely, if you aren't necessarily going into criminal justice or law, it definitely can be something that interests you or a friend as well. But I would definitely say email us, come and join one of our information sessions so you can learn more about our program in depth. And it would be a good opportunity for you is what I would say, yeah. Oh, and I should say, are there any questions about our program? Because we kind of did talk kind of fast, so.
Oh, Naomi, if just really fast, if you could just go over a couple of those stations.
Sure. I'll actually go over all of them. Yeah. So the first station where you see all the people standing at the computers, that would be our triage area. That is the first area that people see when they do enter our law library. That area is centered around giving people forms and breaking down the processes of those forms. Whether it's a criminal case, family case, civil case, doesn't matter. You're going to find that form there, and our members will be able to assist our customers with that. The next picture over, we have a member making copies. That is, it may seem easy to do, but customers do come in and mess up their copies easily. And to file with the court, you do have to have the necessary copies, and it has to be in order. So our members do help a lot with making copies. At that next table, you see our members breaking down the process of, I'm not sure what case they're doing, but they are breaking it down for a customer, just helping him know what he's doing and maybe where to file, what the filing fees are. And then at that next station, she's at one of our navigation stations. We do a lot of assistance with navigating throughout the court, whether it's an information desk or a navigation podium. Our members are stationed there, and they just give advice on where a courtroom is, or where to file, or where a destination is within the court. So that's what she's doing. Did I miss anything else that would be important, Lisa? Okay. Are there any questions on our program that anyone may have?
We have a quiet bunch today.
I'm sorry, so can you go over the hours per week that your program is?
With PACS?
Yes.
So Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and then we're maybe changing things up a little bit, where we'll have like specific schedules available, like, you know, Monday, Tuesday, 8 to 5, or whatever it may be. But for the most part, the member can choose the days they want to serve. But except for maybe some AmeriCorps activities throughout the session that may be after hours or on the weekend, it's 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, holidays off.
Thank you.
So just to add on, you know, our programs are very similar in the fact that they're criminal justice related, but they're very different experiences. And we often, for the lack of a better term or analogy, our members kind of cross-pollinate our programs. So you may have someone who served in Lisa's program and wants to see that side of the county superior court system in the resource sector. But then you may have that same member want to volunteer in my program and get the experience of probation, and so on with Raven's program. We've actually had that experience where a member has served in each of our programs. And Jack, if you're looking for more robust, meaning more hours per week, I think technically, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you were to serve in my program at 300 hours for 4 months, you could technically also serve in Lisa's program at the same time if you could physically fit the hours in, you know, the time frame of the week. Sometimes that is a possibility where you can be in 2 programs at the same time. It's just logistically, it's not something we would advise, but it's something that AmeriCorps National, I think, also has to approve, or we just have to clear it. Sometimes that is a possibility too, if you can't get one experience that fulfills the hour needs that you're looking for.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. And
well, I would say for corrections, you can't serve in 2 programs. You would have to do one at a time. So
yeah. So there might be some internal policies too. If you are looking for a full-time position, the VISTA programs are the ones that you'll want to look for. The VISTA opportunity is basically a separate bucket of AmeriCorps opportunities than where we kind of reside. We're state and national. A Vista position is a usually 1 year, 40 hours a week type of position that is more kind of like a gap year type of opportunity. So say for instance, you just finished school and you wanted to get more of a professional type of experience. Not to say our experiences aren't professional, but usually Vista positions are with organizations that serve an internal need. So building capacity, building sustainability within the organization instead of direct service. And again, those are usually 1 year, 40 hours a week, and sometimes those turn into full-time positions for the organization. So, you know, what that might look like, you might be working on an IT project for a small community that has, you know, the need for building a database or something, or writing a curriculum or a training or something of that nature. But Vistas are very different, but that is a full-time position if you're looking for something. And the stipend and the Ed Award is compensatory to the time that you serve. So